we have massive news out of OpenAI. They have dropped an entirely new AI model, or some people are saying it's not a new model. It's just ChatGPT with new reasoning capabilities. There's some arguments on this. Some people are saying it's secretly the Orion AI model that OpenAI has been working on, aka GPT-5. I tend to think this is just GPT 4.0 with reasoning capabilities. There's a bunch of interesting things here. I'm going to be breaking them all down, as well as giving you the responses that people are giving to this, people that are testing at some of the use cases, what this thing's actually good at, and breaking all of that down for you in the podcast. Before we get into all of that, I wanted to let you know that if you've ever wanted to start a podcast like this, I'm obviously biased and think that this is probably one of the best things you could do for your career or for your business, because it has helped my businesses and my career out astronomically. But if you've ever been interested in starting a podcast, I've just launched a podcast course that starts and walks you through everything from start to finish on how exactly I got over 4 million downloads on my podcasts, how I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for my companies with podcasting, and how you can do it too. So all of the strategies, the organic growth strategies, all of the production, all of the equipment, and all of the amazing guests, how to do it all. The link is in the description. So I would love to have you as part of the course. And but let's get into what OpenAI is doing. So the big news here is that there's officially, and you can go test this out yourself if you have a paid or premium account, ChatGPT o1 preview. Now, preview probably because they're potentially going to roll it back or change it or make different things to it. They're saying this is only a preview because you only get a certain amount of queries. I think every hour you can only ask it a handful of questions, so you can't do a ton with it yet. I have been testing it out and have seen some really phenomenal responses from it so far, so I've been quite impressed. At the same time, I will caveat this by saying I've had some of the developers for some of the companies that I work with say that they still think Anthropic's Claude is better. Now, the whole idea behind this is that it's supposed to be just as good as an actual person reasoning. And what it's doing, it has Strawberry or Q-Star involved. When you ask it a question, so I'll show you a post I gave it recently. I gave it a post where I said, I'm writing like a post about a specific story that happened. I gave it like an article all about that story. This is something I was creating for LinkedIn. And then I said, I want you to copy this post. And I found a post that I just liked the style of it, but it had nothing to do with what I was talking about. But it had this kind of LinkedIn style where it's got like one word on each line, whatever, right? And then I was like, okay, like write a post with this style about this topic in another case. So I asked ChatGPT 4 to do this. It did not do a great job. It just kind of did the task, but it didn't copy the style of the original post. When I asked GPT o1 preview to do it, it did a fantastic job. The response it gave me had everything on its own individual line, so the format was correct. I tweaked it slightly by saying, remove some buzzwords, make it less cringy, and change the takeaway on this. It rewrote it, and it was honestly incredible. Like this post was not something I could get out of GPT 4.0, and I always have to go and edit these kind of posts when I get them created by GPT 4.0. So the fact that this can pretty much one shot do this whole thing for me perfect without me needing to edit it really got me quite excited. I think there's some great things. Now, this is obviously not that impressive of a use case. There's way more impressive and exciting things this is able to do. So I'm going to cover some of those. But overall, I'm impressed with it. Now, the main, I guess, downsides to it is that it takes 10 to 15 seconds to respond. But honestly, this thing's saving me 5 to 20 minutes of post editing after it generates something anyway. So I don't care about, I'll take the 5 to 10 seconds of it, just take it a little longer to generate the post. So over on X, people have been posting a lot of memes about this. Someone said, it's been 12 hours since OpenAI announced o1, and it has so far failed to solve the Riemann hypothesis, quantum gravity, FTL, faster than light travel, P equals NP, grand unified theory, cure for cancer. Clearly, this shows that AI has hit a wall and OpenAI is about to go bankrupt. Okay, yes, obviously they're joking because there's all the people that are like saying like, hey, this isn't that cool. It doesn't do like X, Y, and Z thing perfectly. This thing is pretty impressive. So someone else was talking about this, And if you're watching the video for this, I'm on X right now. This isn't like a specific thread I'm on. This is just literally what my feed looks like because everyone is talking about this. Someone said, "I declare AGI achieved." And they shared a mind twister that they got it to do. And I was impressed with this one in particular. It says there are 5 people, A, B, C, D, and E, in a room. A is watching TV, B with B, D is sleeping, B is eating a sandwich, E is playing table tennis. Suddenly a call came to the telephone. B went out of the room to pick up a call. What is C doing? So what's interesting is they never, other than saying that C was in the room, they never mentioned what C was doing. But after 5 seconds, because it tells you how long it takes to think of the response, after 5 seconds, it said C is playing table tennis with E. This is super smart. People are like, how was it, how was it able to figure this out? Because it probably wasn't trained on a data set that gave it this answer. C is obviously playing table tennis with E because if E is playing table tennis, it has to be playing with someone and no one else was mentioned doing it. So anyways, really interesting response that we got out of it there. Someone else gave an interesting response where they asked it, how many words are in your response to this prompt? Now, obviously that's funny because it has to be able to think of how many words are in it before it gives the response and the word. Well, anyways, yeah. So it gave this big, long thing where it explains how it got the answer. And that's kind of the cool thing that this AI model does is whenever it responds to you, you can hit this little drop down next to the response where it tells you exactly what it does. So it says adjusting the message, adjusting the tone, re-editing business dynamics, focusing on human capital. Anyways, I'm reading some off of the LinkedIn post that I did. But it literally it does chain of thought and it explains the chain of thought that it went through, which is really interesting to me, right? So it's not just like, okay, black box, here's a response, why your response is better. It explains exactly how it came up with your response. It gives you like 7 or 8 steps. And so what's interesting to me is like in the one where people are asking it, how many words are in your response to this? It's like when it was thinking, it's like addressing the paradoxical query, figuring out the word count, identifying the word pattern, counting the words, clarifying response accuracy. So it comes up with a response and it makes sure that its response is correct. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating. It breaks down exactly how it does it. And when someone said, how many words are in your response to this prompt, it said there are 7 words in this sentence. And that is true. There are 7 words in that sentence. Other people tested the same thing and got different responses, which is kind of cool. It shows it's not canned. Some people asking the same question, it said 2 words, which that's funny because that is accurate. Someone else showed that Grok 2 beta is able to do the same thing. When someone said, how many words are in response to this prompt, it said there are 10 words in my response to this prompt. So that's able to do it. And then someone asked Claude the same question and Claude was unable to do it. Now, this is interesting because I kind of gave you the anecdotal story at the beginning of some developers I know saying that Claude was still better. I wonder if that's like a bias thing at this point because they all moved over to that. Either way, I think this is really fascinating. It's amazing because it's literally using chain of thought. It's taking a little bit of extra time, but it's coming up with way better responses. And I've seen people get better ones. We're kind of just getting funny ones. The one thing that's interesting that someone recently asked, they said, did we just get AGI? And Sam Altman said no. And so, I mean, I think that is to say we're still at the early stages. OpenAI's got more interesting stuff coming up for us. There was an interesting post I recently saw where they were talking about the fact that OpenAI kind of has these like steps of where they're going next. And right now, like what phases to achieve AGI, there's like 5 steps. The first one was pretty much what ChatGPT was when it first came out. The second one was reasoning like a human, being able to understand things. So people are saying, okay, we're now at phase 2. Phase 3, aka the next step that they're going for, is agents, autonomous agents being able to actually go and execute things autonomously. So for me, I'm really excited because when we see the updates of this technology and what it can do now, we know the next step that OpenAI is working towards now, which is autonomous agents. And I'm sure, it's going to get a little bit better at responses, maybe a little bit better at reasoning as time goes by. They'll do small tweaks to this, but they've made a pretty big jump. And at this point, they're really focusing on agents, which I think is super exciting. I think a lot of you probably think the same thing. Now, one thing that I've heard a couple people report on, and I haven't verified if this is actually accurate or not, so it could be a joke, but I'll just tell you because people are talking about it. They said, if you ask ChatGPT about O1 about its chain of thought a few times. OpenAI support emails you and threatens you to revoke your access of one. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and someone said that they could confirm this, and they shared some posts. So I'm not sure how accurate it is, but in the posts that they shared, it said, your request was flagged as potentially violating our usage policy. Please try again with a different prompt. And then they were also told that they've hit their plus plan limit. And then apparently they got an email that said, hello, we're reaching out to you as a user of OpenAI's ChatGPT because some of the requests associated with this email, shows their email, have been flagged by our system to be in violation of our policy against attempting to circumvent safeguards or safety mitigation in our service. Please halt this activity and ensure you are using the GPT in accordance with our terms of service and our usage policy. Additional violations of this policy may result in loss of access to GPT 4.0 with reasoning. If you believe this is an error and you would like to appeal, please contact us through our help center, the OpenAI team. Okay, I don't know how accurate that is, but in any case, I think this is, I mean, if it's true, that is crazy. And some people are saying that there is no moat. And so if you can figure out how they're doing their reasoning, which makes me think that people think it's sort of like a prompt that's able to essentially understand and tell it to walk through a chain of thought thing. But in any case, if that's the case, there is no moat and someone else could figure that out. Like Anthropic could figure out what they're doing and get it to essentially run through the same thing. If there's more software and more intensive stuff involved, then I don't think it's probably accurate. But in any case, this is a fascinating time to be in AI. There's so much happening, and this model's amazing. So it's rolled out. If you're a paying user, go jump on it, go test it out, check it out. I've been blown away by what it's able to accomplish. I'll keep you up to date on everything new happening with this model. Hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day. Don't forget, if you are interested in starting a podcast, there is a link in the show notes to my new podcast course, which if you're interested in podcasting, will blow your mind, teach you everything you need to know to have a very successful podcast. I would love to have you join me in the podcast community. Anyways, hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will catch you next time.